everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guests and I each pick a film related in some shape or form. Some of them are a bit of a stretch, and maybe this one was, in hindsight, or actually upon picking immediately. But you know what? I made the connection anyway. And joining me, because it is indeed the fourth Thursday of the month this releases, it is Jeff. Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, anytime.
But yeah, so Jeff picked Amadeus, which is an all-time favorite of mine, and I wanted to pick another like music biopic, and certainly not the same type of music, but we were talking about the coal miner's daughter. So much more country western than I just it was hard because I feel like there's very few things like Amadeus,
Yeah.
and I think that's a special thing. But Jeff, what are your general thoughts on Milos Forman's biopic, which is a stretch, of Mozart?
Yeah, I it's been a really, really long time since I watched this movie. I watched this movie in like 2010,
Mhm.
yeah, it was about 2010 when I first watched it. I was in high school and I watched it in like a music theory type class or music appreciation, I'm sorry. And I remember just being just kind of enraptured by this like weird guy that was Mozart in the movie, which was just like the crazy laugh and the
Yep.
very just like flamboyant the kind of person that he was. I'm not sure if that's how he actually was in person, but I mean, I was just so like I'm just sitting here like, who is this guy? And that's basically what this movie is trying to make you question the entire time too, is who is Mozart, you know?
Yeah. Well, and so I also watched this a very long time ago, all 6 months ago. Um, is I did this for my Wasteland Vintage Roadshow podcast because this is one of my favorite films. And it was so funny because my wife's like, "Didn't we just watch this?" I'm like, "Jess, that was 6 months ago." And she's like, "Don't say that." Uh,
Yeah.
but this film is, I think, I don't even like considering it a biopic because, to be frank, we don't know anything about these
Right.
people at this point in time. It doesn't even matter. What matters is Milos Forman delivered a film that is so incredibly compelling. Peter Schaefer, who wrote the original stage play, wrote the screenplay for this. This is such a fascinating exploration of so many things. This is so thematically rich, whether it's this battle of faith and one man's ego thinking that like God is smiting him personally. That's one of the most fascinating things about this film. I think Salieri's whole entire arc here is absolutely fascinating. But then also how he sees Mozart as a slap in the face to him, where it's like, I, who have been devoted to you, God, who has prayed to you, God, my
Yeah.
whole life, and you curse me with mediocrity, only for this vulgar child to be an absolute genius. And that's such a fascinating idea. And the one-two punch of F. Murray Abraham and Tom Holtz is incredible in this. Honestly, Abraham gives one of my favorite performances ever in a movie,
hmm
and I think he really deserved that Best Actor Oscar that he won for this.
Oh, for sure. He I think both Abraham and Hulse are doing like just really great stuff in this.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick because you have those moments where Hulse is being like the flamboyant character that he's trying to be, but then you have like the opposite side of it where F. Murray Abraham is just being conniving and he's being enraptured as himself and he's showing all these different sides of his character. It's hard to choose who's doing a better job here.
Well, and they both got nominated for Best Actor
Yeah,
and
that's
somehow
crazy.
didn't split the vote, and one of them won, which that's probably the most fascinating thing from the Academy Awards of this film is that somehow one of them won out with Best Actor. But I love the framing device because right from the start, you get this scene of Salieri trying to kill himself, and you just have the music just
Yeah.
coming in and them rushing him. And I love this frame narrative. This older, just jaded Salieri sitting there with this priest, having this whole entire like the acting that F. Murray Abraham does in all those scenes. It's like I would love to sit there and just listen to this man tell me
Yeah.
this story because he's just that charismatic. And like that moment where he's like, and then I wished from God to help me escape, and he answered my prayers, and it's showing his dad dying of a heart attack. And I'm like, damn, this man, which is so fascinating because Salieri might have been a solid composer, but he was a fascinating person, this
Hmm.
character in this film. And Tom Holtz, when honestly, one of my favorite scenes in all of film is them writing the Requiem together
Yeah.
at the end. And just, it's a whole different gear that Tom Holt is in because we get to see the genius at work and just you see how exhausted he is, but he's doing all these things. And F. Murray Abraham's so nervous and like, slow down, like he can't keep up. And just how the music cuts in and just them engaging with each other is so compelling and just it's such a thrilling moment. It's literally two men sitting there coming up with music with each other.
Hmm.
And that's how interesting Milos Forman presents this film is that you can make scenes like that so interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a tough film to say that it's so interesting sometimes because most people will not be able to sit through this. Like it's like I remember when I watched it for the first time in this music appreciation class, like almost the entire room of people, and these were all like music students,
Hmm.
had just no interest whatsoever. They had no care. They just saw, a 3 hour movie and they were like, we're clocking out, we're not part of this. Because and no one gives a hoot about, Mozart and classical music and stuff like that. Like, but like I just find myself there's so much of this movie that I just find myself so like interested in, whether it's the music or just the rivalry between just the two of them, and just Salieri as a subject to just study
Hmm.
um, his way of life and his upbringing and all these things. Where it's just there's so much that's interesting about it.
Absolutely. One of my favorite scenes too is when uh Mozart's wife, which Elizabeth Berridge, I think did a great job in this
Hmm.
movie as well. And she has a pretty thankless role in it, trying like being the one that's like dealing with all of Mozart's horrible hedonistic behavior, but
Yeah.
it's the moment she brings his work to Salieri, and when Salieri is like sifting through these pages and the music is playing, and you see this conflicting feeling of Salieri being like, I'm amazed, and also so mad
Yeah.
that like there's no errors, no notes, no edits, perfect
Hmm.
perfection. And i I would, because like I've never experienced, like there's things that I'm passionate about and that I feel like I'm good at. I don't think I've ever sat down with somebody who's such a genius at that thing that it made me feel so insecure about my own abilities. But
Hmm.
that scene captures that vulnerability so amazingly. And honestly, I wanted to watch half these operas. Um, just based off like the pomp and circumstance, especially the after his father dies. That opera with like the like death in like the big black armor and everything. I'm like, I was like, I would eat that up. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't understand a single word going on, but I would eat. And just the production design, the costuming, the makeup, the hairstyling in this movie is second to none.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
it's no wonder that it was nominated and won Best Picture.
absolutely. And I'm pretty sure this won like how many Oscars? This won 8 Oscars.
Yeah, it was a
So,
lot.
so this won Best Picture, it won Best Actor, Best Director Milos Forman, Best Adapted Screenplay. It won Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Sound, which the sound editing in this, the moment it chooses to incorporate the music and having it cut in and out,
Hmm.
it won for makeup, and then it was nominated for cinematography, film editing, and Tom Holtz too. So like this could have won 10, to be
Yeah.
frank. Real easy. I'm gonna go look up later what this lost cinematography to because my God, this is a gorgeous looking film too.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
like this is one of those films like I could just keep going on and on and on about the supporting cast. Roy Dotrice, who played Leopold Mozart, his father, I thought he did a great job. Obviously Jeffrey Jones is not in good graces with society at this point with his, pretty disgusting casual things he did in his free time, but like him
Hmm.
being like the emperor and all the like this all the his sycophants and these elitist like these elitist men who were like gatekeeping music. It's just they were so frustrating. This movie is so much style, but there's so much richness and layers to the character work and the themes of this movie that like this is a total package. And the 2 hours and 40 minutes for me do not, I don't feel it at all. And it's really funny because I was watching this on my old DVD and my wife came down and she's like, I don't remember this movie ending this point. I'm like, Jess, I need to flip the disc. So I'm like,
Wow.
yes, which is funny because actually I just bought a 4K of this to replace it because I'm like, if I need a movie upgraded on 4K, it's definitely this one
Oh
because
yeah, for sure.
absolutely gorgeous movie. I guess Jeff, did you have anything else that you wanted to add about Amadeus?
No, I really like the film. It's not a film I'm gonna go back to often, I think, just because of its time length that
Hmm.
I just don't think I will. But it's a good watch, especially if you're just a cinephile. Like it's
Hmm.
a must watch for that. Most like I said before, like most like mainstream audiences are gonna completely overlook this movie. They're not gonna even waste their time. But if you're like a film student or something, this is a must watch.
Well, yeah, you if you're cinephile, you just eat all this up. And
Yeah.
also, I think if you were to tell any casual moviegoer, do you want to watch a 2 hour and 40-minute movie about classical music? They'd be like, and then move
Right.
on.
Exactly.
So,
That's exactly my point. Like anybody
yeah.
would just be like, "You're out of your mind if you think I'm going to sit through this movie."
And I would like to think that if they did actually, they would love it too.
Absolutely.
Um, and because like this is one of those films that I feel like completely transcends being a biopic.
Hmm.
This does not feel like a biopic. This feels like, and I think there's enough distance where we know nothing about them for real that you can do that, which I think is an interesting segue to our other film because this 100% feels like a biopic, especially a music biopic. But our next film we're talking about is Coal Miner's Daughter, and this is from director Michael Apt. I think that's how you would pronounce that. And then this is a fictionalized life of singer Loretta Lynn, a girl who rose from humble beginnings to become a country music star in the 60s and 70s. Jeff, what were your thoughts on Coal Miner's Daughter?
I'm not gonna lie. I was pretty bored through this one. I watched this one first when I was because I watched them both in the same night, and I watched this
Interesting.
and then I watched Amadeus because I knew I would like Amadeus more.
Fair.
Um, I'm not a big Loretta Lynn fan to begin with. I don't really care for country or that like country of that time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I liked it very much just because of the fact that like I think it's just starts so slow. It's
Hmm.
it's not as like interesting as I was hoping it would be. Like they really don't get to the heart of her like becoming an artist until like much later in the film than it should have been.
Yeah, which this is interesting because like this feels like if somebody's like stereotypical music biopic, this has it like written all over it.
Yeah.
And this even came out a couple decades before Ray and Walk the
Hmm.
Line kind of like revitalized those types of films. And like this is an Academy Award winning film because Sissy Spacek won Best Actress, which
Oh.
I'm not gonna argue with that. But like this also got nominated for a bunch of other Oscars, including film editing, sound, art direction, cinematography, writing. This is a Best Picture nominee
Yeah.
for films of 1981. But I'll admit this is the second time I watched this film, and I really did feel the length and the by the numbers, the blueprint that it was really working off of.
Hmm.
I think honestly the two big selling points of this movie are Sissy Spacek and Tommy Lee Jones, which Tommy Lee Jones is uncomfortably young.
Which is I was just gonna say that is the weirdest thing about this movie for me is because it looks like a funhouse mirror Tommy Lee Jones where like he's got this like rockin' tough body, but his face still looks old to me. Like it's so weird. And he's like weirdly tall in this movie. But even like taking him as like an actor out of it completely, I'm not even sure what to think of his character even because he goes back and forth from being like this dirt bag like former like army uh
Mhm.
service member, and then he goes from being like all in on trying to make her dream happen, and then he's, spoiler alert, he goes and starts making out with some other random girl, towards the end of the movie, and then he's back to being like a good family man later. I'm like, pick a lane for this guy.
This character was extremely frustrating to watch
Yeah.
because there is so many inconsistencies and it is just this roller coaster ride. It's very mercurial in his how he's represented in this film, and I think it works as well as it does because of Tommy Lee Jones.
Sure.
Like he has such great presence as an actor that he's interesting to watch despite the fact that like this character makes no sense.
Yeah.
And, this is a man that married a 14-year-old and got her pregnant
Yeah,
at
that was
14.
that was really weird thing about this film. I don't know if that actually happened, but
I'm pretty sure it did. So,
that's weird. I
well,
guess it was I guess it was a different time. I don't know.
well, here's the thing. I don't know if you know this too, Jeff, but like, when did Elvis meet Priscilla? She was like
I knew
14.
that. Yeah, I knew that was
And
on the
then
younger side.
I think the worst one's Jerry Lee Lewis married his like 13, 14-year-old cousin.
Oof.
So, like, this was a problem.
Oh yeah.
This was the significant problem. And like, I do appreciate like this film really captures like how they jokingly make fun of like mining towns in South Jersey in Zoolander?
Yeah.
Like this actually I feel like organically and authentically captures like that small whole mining town community
Hmm.
kind of feel. And he like Sissy Spacek I think was incredibly believable as this young mountain southern girl,
Yeah.
and I think she because she did all of her singing for this too, and I think she did a great job capturing the essence of Loretta Lynn. And then even Beverly D'Angelo as Patsy Cline, she did all of her own singing too.
Yeah. That was a
And
surprise. I didn't know that she was in this movie until she showed up.
it took me a minute to like look at like a still. I'm like, wait a minute, that is the mom from Vacation. And that like this is one of those types of films where the cast does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Hmm.
And I don't think this film's particularly interesting from a filmmaking standpoint. It feels pretty workmanlike in terms of a lot of that type of stuff. And I enjoyed like even Levon Helm, the drummer from the band, played her dad. And that was really rough when she's leaving on the train and he's just like, I didn't think I was gonna lose my little girl this soon. And I'm like, but she's still a girl. She's 14 years old. And like that was rough
Yeah.
uh to reckon with. But I think they did a fine job capturing like the music performances and stuff like that. This is just it's made serviceably, has some good like strong performances that make it stand out a bit. But no, like especially in like talking about this in a pair with Amadeus. Amadeus is what you should do with a biopic.
Yeah.
Coal Miner's Daughter is what everybody like 90% of biopics are.
Yeah.
And
Well, to be fair, like I mean, like this was back in 1980. Like
yeah,
they didn't have the same kind of like storytelling ability. I feel like they didn't have the same kind of storytelling ability that they did when they were making things like A Complete Unknown or
yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody or Rocket Man or all these things. Because I'm like, I think those do it very well. I think Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody are a little more like paint by numbers, whereas like Complete Unknown actually I think does the whole biopic music biopic thing very well. Um, and I'm really excited for Deliver Me from Nowhere. I
yep.
cannot wait for that. I love Springsteen.
As we're
Um,
recording next weekend,
yeah, I'm so excited. Um, but I mean, I think I cut it some slack for being in 1980,
that's
not
fair.
really having the, and I don't know who this director is. I've never heard of him before, but I'm like, maybe he was a younger director, or maybe he just hadn't made anything like this before. It was, it was 1980. It was an older time. They didn't really make a lot of stuff like this, I feel like. So I kind of just have to cut it some slacks here and there.
Here's the thing. I enjoy this movie. I enjoy this movie enough to own it. Like I'm just pointing out that like yeah, it's not something that's going to blow you away in terms of
Yeah.
what it's doing differently. And now I know why I recognize the name. This is the director of The World Is Not Enough,
Oh, okay.
which is really interesting. He was 40 when he made this movie.
Okay. So
Um
my comments don't matter.
he made Gorillas in the Mist, which was like another 80s biopic
Hmm.
about Diane Fossey. And what's so interesting though is what this is 4 years before Amadeus. That's the thing. Amadeus feels like it's working on a whole other different kind of level in terms of what
Hmm.
you expected from biopics at the time. And, a really strong performance and a good ensemble can carry you through a lot of biopics.
Yeah.
And I think Coal Miner's Daughter specifically has that, at least going
Yeah.
for it. And I'll admit, I am a if I had to pick either modern country or old country western, I'm picking old country.
Yeah, I agree.
Except for Chris Stapleton. I love Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of any of it, but I agree. I'd rather listen to the older country than the newer country. But going back to your point, what you said about like, but these two movies only being 4 years apart, I'm like, well, think of the movies that we got in between, or I mean, like not even in between these two, but like around the same time as
Yeah,
Amadeus came out. I was like, another year later, we got Back to the Future,
yeah.
and like because when I see Coal Miner's Daughter, I'm still thinking it's like the 70s.
Mm,
So I'm like, it's just a matter of your perspective on like what happened in 5 years
yeah.
technology wise, where we were able to get something like Amadeus or Back to the Future or any of these other like better movies that came out in the mid 80s.
Well, even like 81 brought us what, E.T.?
Was that 81?
I think so.
Here, I'll look
It's
it up
either
real quick.
81 or 82 because I know it came out around the same time as The Thing.
It was 80, yeah, 82. I didn't realize that that movie
Yeah.
was that old.
So, well, and that's it. The interesting point that you brought up. This still feels very 70s. That's the thing. Those shifting decades take
Hmm.
a year or two. This is 1980. It's safe to say that it probably was filmed in the late 79 or somewhere around there.
I was gonna say
That's
it came out in March 1980. So yeah,
okay.
it probably would have filmed in 80 or 78 or 79.
Hmm. So I give a lot of credit to Sissy Spacek for really like anchoring this film down. And good for
Mm.
her because like even thinking about this is 5 years after Carrie. That really put her on the
Yeah,
map in terms of that. And then coming out and winning an Oscar. So was it the same year as Ordinary People then?
I don't
I think
know.
I think that won Best Picture this year, which also means Sissy Spacek beat Mary Tyler Moore then. I'm pretty sure for Ordinary People potentially, or was she supporting? It's a good question. I'll look all I'll look up all that stuff. That's my own curiosity. But I guess Jeff, do you have anything else that you wanted to add about Coal Miner's Daughter?
No, I'm probably never gonna come back to it. I'm not
That's
sad that I
fair.
watched it, but I don't really see myself going back to it. It's not really for me, I guess.
It will probably be a while before
Yeah.
I circle back. Like, if I'm gonna pick a biopic to watch and not keeping harping back on Amadeus, but like if I really wanted to watch like that type of this type of music biopic, I'm definitely gonna watch a Complete Unknown, something like
Yeah.
that, or even like I love Ray and Walk the Line, despite the fact that they got lampooned so hard
Hmm.
by Walk Hard doing
Yeah.
Cock Story.
I'll even go to watch like Inside Llewyn Davis before I watch something like this. Because I mean, it's not necessarily a
Yeah,
biopic exactly, but it's still set. It's based on a real person, but
yeah.
it's yeah. Like I would rather go watch that than something like this because it's folky kind of music as well. So,
Don't tempt me with a Cohen's good time.
oh yeah,
Uh, do love me the Cohens. But Jeff, thank you so much as always for coming on and chatting movies with me.
sure, anytime.
And because October is one of our 5 week months, we will be 5 Thursday months. Adam will be coming on and talking about Play Misty for Me and The Beguiled, a double dose of some early 70s Clint Eastwood movies. That also have like a sharp thriller kind of vibe for Halloween as that episode comes out on the 30th. And next month, Jeff and I are going to talk about the peculiar 2006 double feature of magician movies. It is The Prestige and The Illusionist. So stay tuned for that. But thank you all for listening. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your favorite music biopic? Make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. So many great shows with all different types of interests. And if you want to join the crew, whether as a guest on one of these shows or becoming like starting your own podcast yourself, reach out to us on our website. And if you like our logo, check out High Flyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. Most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Retrospective here on the SPM Crew Podcasting Network.